You're watching Focus on CNBC Africa. Thank you for joining us once again. I'm Zanella Morrison, coming to you live at the launch of SNPC. Looking forward to a number of conversations that are going to give us an overview of this journey that pulls together the energy sector. As the board chair, this has been quite a journey for you and the team. And how have you structured the journey to get to a point where you're able to launch SNPC and a clear value proposition?
We started by bringing in the interim CEO, which was Mr. Moahi, who was seconded from SFF. And then we got the board to look at the resolutions that needs to be taken to actually effect SNPC taking over the assets and the employees. We work together with now they call Legacy Board and SEF Board to facilitate that everything run smoothly. So the CEO brought a team because we had not have all the governance structures in place. We had to adopt certain policies and standards from the merging entities as well as from the group to ensure that at least we comply and will act according to the laws and regulations that are in the industry.
And I think now you're integrating sectors. Yes, they fall within the same frame, but they're very different. So that integration is critical for it to yield results. What are the markers for you that are going to show that you are achieving the results you intend out of the pulling together of SNPC?
Amongst others is actually to effectively utilize the assets that they've brought in to the measure. Like SFF brought in all the infrastructure for oil and gas storage, like LPG. So, and they also had projects that they were looking at to actually increase the capacity within the organization. So we have to implement those projects, make sure that they are expedited and implemented as quick as possible so that they provide profitability within the SNPC.
So what you also have to pull together is, out of some of the work, there have been some major public and private partnerships. Are they impacted? Are they enhanced through the merger and the creation of SNPC?
We hope that we are enhancing those private-public partnerships that existed before. But as SNPC, we're also looking at creating new private-public partnerships so that we can get into the segments that as individual entities they were not able to get into. So as SNPC, with all these merged entities, will allow us to cover all those segments and areas that the other organizations on their own were not able to participate, or there were some hindrances to make it possible for them to participate.
This is the work of legends, you know. We'll look back and we'll memorize and remember this moment when we kicked it off, but it didn't just start today. What has the journey been like in putting together SNPC?
It's been very, 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 very exciting and very rewarding. So as we said, it started off in 2020 when the president stated that when we look at the state-owned companies that South Africa has, we really have to rationalize them, we have to ensure that they're efficient, and we have to make sure that they all support government in terms of the triple challenge that government is dealing with. And so out of that State of the Nation address, then followed a decision from Cabinet to say we can now merge iGas, Petro SA and Strategic Fuel Fund, to form this formidable SNPC. And so the journey began. So we had to start off with building a business case, looking at how we can pull this together and how we can put these companies together in order to form this SNPC. So it really was a long journey. And what's interesting for me is that we were told to do it in 6 months. And I mean, I'm not kidding when I say we were told that merge these companies in 6 months, but of course it wasn't practical. There was a lot of work that had to be done. We had to look at, what is possible in terms of the legislation. We had to look at what is possible in terms of the state of the companies themselves. So it really wasn't just a simple journey, and we had to put together a team from a consultant's point of view that would support us, in designing this new company, in building the rules around how we move people, how we actually do this assignment. Because mergers, really, you can do it by putting companies together through amalgamation, or you can do it as a subsidiary. And we had to look at all of those things and say, what does the legislation say, and what is the state of the companies that we have? And we had a very interesting method that we actually opted for, which is the lease and assign method, which apparently has never been done ever in the world. So that's also a first for us. So really it has been very, very exciting. And I think that there are big things to come from the SNPC, and we really are very humbled to be part of this journey that is going to live in future. So it's really, really rewarding.
And what does it mean for our ability as a country to engage and lift up our level of delivery when it comes to energy, when we look at other countries, be it China, be it the US, be it India?
South Africa has a lot of capacity, and there's a lot of thinking capacity. I always say to people that when you look at the methodology that we found, because we knew that we don't have a choice, but we have to deliver this SNPC. And when we looked at the impediments, like the financial difficulties of Petro SA, and the fact that, by the way, SFF, Strategic Fuel Fund, is a not-for-profit organization. So you actually cannot merge a not-for-profit organization with another organization that is for profit, and also with the commercial difficulties around Petro SA, you actually cannot merge a company that is in that state. And hence we came up with the lease and assign methodology to say, how then do you do it? Because we could have gone back and said it cannot be done. But of course, South Africans, as I say, they are very resilient and also very innovative. And we came up with the lease and assign methodology, which is, in essence says, all of the assets that are in a good operational condition can then be leased to the SNPC. The SNPC can leverage those assets and do business. And then in the background, all the legislative issues are going to be resolved, but also the parts that are still problematic around Petro SA, specifically the refinery, is going to be revitalized. So that gives us an opportunity now to then put it in a good state and then bring it across to the SNPC. And with time, when the legislation is sorted out, then the merger will be fully complete in the way that we know it. So it can still be done, and it is going to be a very successful venture, because I could just see, just from the shareholder pushing us and giving us courage and really just helping us to get this through, to the team itself, to say we can actually do it. So as I say, South Africans really are a very, very resilient nation and very innovative as well, and hence we came with this successful formula.
Thank you for the time that you're giving us to talk about the journey of SNPC. You're now calling it SANPAC. For you, what does this moment today mean for those who are watching and seeing probably one of the first big organizations being pulled together? To you, what does this represent for the country?
I think it's a watershed moment for South Africa, not just South Africa alone, but for SADC and Africa. Here you have a new national oil company being born in Africa's most industrialized nation. You know what that means? It is time for energy dominance and for time for energy security, and that work starts right now. And anybody who cares about this continent and this country knows how big this is. And for everyday people, this is your chance to having low cost of energy, but also energy that drives you for the future.
And if we look at the challenges we're facing as an economy, and we're looking at the needs to create employment, to increase business opportunities in South Africa, has this been a factor that has been looked into ensuring that there is a robust way in which participation can be enabled for all those who are operating within the energy sector?
Absolutely. The first thing you've got to look at is that this government is South African owned, South African run. Who best knows how to bring other South Africans in the game than a South African entity? This is very important. Second thing you have to look is that previously disadvantaged people, they have a shot right now to play in oil and gas. Third, you have women that are going to play a critical role in this industry. Now the doors are open for them to start to shatter some of those glass ceilings that are not that have really kept it behind. Let's not forget, we're still talking about an oil and gas industry where women are still the last hired and the first fired. We got to change that, and SNPAC or SNPC has a chance to really change that and drive that positive message and really show that some of our accomplishments can be done with women in charge and women driving that. That is a very important issue, because we need to change the way the game is being done, is being played, and is being lectured about it. But then we also have a chance to define our own path towards an energy transition the way that we want and how it benefits South Africa and Africa. And that is those kind of things and those key tenets would really drive us towards making this a success.
So I'm going to come back to that and ask the question, what is the representation right now of the team that's been leading this? But before I do that, the key question is, what are some of the low-hanging fruits that you think we will see in the short space of time?
Low-hanging fruits right now, what you look at is that onshore gas production in South Africa, they can move big and move quick and bring that gas right into the grid, help us reduce load shedding, power South Africa, because when you power South Africa, you power families, you power agriculture, you power our industrialization, it works well. But also look at it, there is so much fuel that's been imported, now you have a more structured entity that is going to bring petroleum products into the South African homes, South African economies, so that we can drive that. But also big, you have an amazing moment to have a credible South African entity to partner with some of the biggest international majors, whether Petrobras or Saudi Aramco or Equinor from Norway or Shell, to really be able to drive up energy exploration in South Africa in a way that is sustainable and also viable for the future.
Thank you so much for joining us. We were live from the Maslow Hotel at the launch of the SNPC. From this episode of Focus On, thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you again next time.